Hey, good morning, everyone. And I apologize. I'm a few minutes late. Had a little technical difficulties, but I am back. It's 7 a. Actually, it's not 7 a.m. It's 7:06. But welcome. It's a wonderful morning. Good morning, everyone. Hello, hello. John Henry Soto here. It's actually a perfect uh, opening to live streaming, right? Because today we're going to be talking about the power of live streaming and some of the challenges that have come up in recent years and some of the advances that have happened in recent years, which has been pretty amazing, pretty impressive. So, one of the things that happened to me in 2020, which happened to I guess a lot of people, was I had to shut down my business. I had a little production business with a business partner of mine here in Bayonne, New Jersey, on Pulaski. Had a nice little office space. Did some pretty cool things there, and it was only year one, and I was in it for the long haul. But after the lockdown, basically our poor little office just sat there and was basically became a storage facility and just money being thrown to rent, and it was just really just not a smart thing to keep it anymore. Um, and so I shut down everything and I brought everything to my house and I basically set my office, my living room. I told my wife, I said, I'm gonna take over the living room. So she said, all right. Yes, she's actually nice that way. Um, and it's what I did. I basically have my living room now is my office for the time being until I can get a space again. Um, but if it wasn't for live streaming or if it wasn't for the lockdown, I wouldn't have done the JHS show, which I started streaming live, starting in March or April, I believe. I think it was April was the first show I ever did, and I started really quickly after the lockdown because I get very angsty. I have to do stuff, and so we started the show, and I did about 100 episodes. I did different versions of it. I mean, I did a lot of different. I did Music Makers. I did the JHS show. I did a thing called From Ghetto to Mellow and Back, which is about growing up in the South Bronx. I only did about three or four episodes of that. And then I started doing this morning show. I've done about 50 something episodes of these, um, as well as just a lot of other live streaming, with my phones. And I found the two live streaming apps that I actually got hired by, and I signed up with an agency called Ivy Entertainment. Um, and I live stream on two apps. Um, and so the live situation has been really a training for me. I started really getting a lot better at thinking quicker. As a matter of fact, I was asked to start to interview bands for LNI Studios, a project that Igor Martinez is doing called LNI Sessions, where he brings in bands from everywhere and they get to perform a live stream event. Um, and we recorded these in between things, which he's going to edit. It's going to be live on the day, but it's a little bit live and not live, right? Because there's stuff that has to be edited. When you're dealing with sound and bands, and you want it to sound good because you're presenting to an audience, an event, right? And so it's really difficult if you have a technical issue and it doesn't sound good. Um, it's not good, especially if in the future people are going to be paying a few bucks. Right now, it's not a paid gig for the bands, but they get their exposure, tremendous amount of exposure to their network, right? They get the link, they can send it all to them. Hey, we're going to be live. We're going to be live. or come join us, watch our concert, blah blah blah, right? Um, and eventually, when things start really gearing up, then you can do an actual live. We're here now. We're taking questions, kind of like this show is right now. And I love to do that because uh, I just it challenges me in a way that nothing else does. I guess the closest thing is acting, right? I love acting and I love performing. Um, and I guess theater is another element, right? Which I'm not too much. I don't do too much theater. I haven't done any theater actually. But the idea that you're right in the moment having to do this, whatever this thing is, and you might have your lines read, and film is not live, film is filmed, but you still have to perform it, right? And this right here is very exhilarating, and it's very. I mean, there's technical issues, right, as you can see, but um, we, you know, and by we I mean people who other people who live stream. We managed to throw ourselves into this arena and find out who our personality is, because we start to expand a little bit, our personalities expand, and we start to really see what we're good at and what we're not good at. Our speech becomes better. I'm not a highly educated man. I left school when I was a teenager. I went back and got my equivalency, and then I went to college for a little bit. But most of my education is really through my church studies and through myself, through just YouTube and learning how to do stuff. So I don't have that. So there was always a little bit of I'm not as confident, or I wasn't as confident at that point. But then I thought to myself, well, this is who I am. This is my personality. This is my background, is what my background is. I can't change it. I won't fake it. And I can't deny who I am, especially in a live situation when you're dealing with a lot of people. It's just not fair to the people, right? It's not fair to myself, but really to the people, right? Because you're lying to them, right? I mean, you're lying to yourself and to some degree, right? But really, it's not the lying to yourself is probably the bigger problem, but lying to others is also not good, and pretending to be something you're not and all that stuff. This It's why I like some of the talk show hosts that are a little bit off the wall, like a Howard Stern and um, um, I guess Imus, who passed away. There was Jay Thomas. I don't know if anybody remembers Jay Thomas, but I was a fan of his. Just because there was a little bit of it wasn't carelessness, and it wasn't that they didn't care. They absolutely cared a lot about their craft and what they were doing, and presenting material and entertainment. They were definitely passionate about that. And Howard Stern still is on the radio every morning, still doing it for 4 hours. I do this for 30 minutes, and I'm like exhausted. Of course, he has a team of stuff. I got a cup of coffee and the pen. But the the not caring kind of thing, just saying what you want to say, and of course I'm not that out there. It's not. I don't find it that's my thing. You know what I mean? I have said things that have gotten me into somewhat of, got me to look. What did you just say? Did you just say that? Oh my god! Did you hear what John just said? I don't know where that voice came from, but anyway, I have said things that are and I'm a Puerto Rican from the Bronx. I'm not a I'm a pretty raw character, and the reason I'm talking about all this is because in live streaming, when you're live, when you're in front of people and you have to kind of free flow a conversation, or you're interviewing somebody for the first time and you don't know what their answers are going to be to anything, and you have to come up with some type of rebuttals, or at least commentary on their responses. You have to come up with that fairly quickly. Um, it was a challenge for me. I had done a lot of live by myself, but the JHS show was a little bit different because I was able to find great guests. I was really lucky. I got some amazing guests, and ask them really great questions about their career and their journey mainly, right? And one of the things that I was really happy about was that a lot of the guests, and I can at some point in my life I'll put those clips together. But the questions I asked, a lot of them, I remember a lot of guests said, "Oh, that's a really great question." I'm like, "Oh, that's a great question. I never thought about that." And that made me feel good every time I would hear somebody say that, because it would make me it would give me some confidence to know that I'm actually listening. That's one, that I'm actually asking questions pertaining to what they actually gave me, right? And the only way that you can become good at that is by doing it a lot. And we're now, because of the pandemic, live streaming, right? My wife now has to be on live with her students and teachers and administrators and meetings and blah blah blah. It's a nonstop thing with her. And every morning, and it's stressful because she also has a project that she's doing, so she has to have meetings for the school with a project. She's just working. I don't think it's going to be like that all the time, but she's been the last at least 2.5 weeks, it's been nothing but this one project that she's finishing. I keep hearing about this digital binder. I keep hearing the words digital binder, a digital binder. I have no idea what the hell it is, but apparently it's like a very involved thing. And she's getting graded on it, or not graded, evaluated on it. So, so it's part of her life now. This whole having to be on camera, in front of people, even though she was a teacher, it's a different thing when you're sitting at home, and you're doing this, right? So the the advice that I have to people is just start, but don't start like this, right? I mean, you can, if you feel comfortable, or you can start and do whatever you want, right? But start with your phone. Start by going live on Instagram, right? Instagram is a very easy place to go live. So number one, go live on Instagram and do 10 minutes. Time yourself. Look at the clock. Another thing that you do, number two, is have bullet points. Always know what it is that you're talking about. Don't just free flow. I mean, you can free flow the subjects, but make sure you have bullet points. So if you want to talk about a product, or if you want to talk about some piece of content that you want to give value to your audience or to anybody, make sure you write it down and then you have it in front of you so you can just glance over. And I do that with my notes down here. I make sure that I'm looking, and I know what I'm going to talk about on this episode, unless it's an episode I've done before, the topic, and I feel very comfortable. I might have a few notes, but I might not even look at them because I kind of know the subject pretty well. So that's number two. Number three is always make sure that you're not just going on there for sales, right? It's the 80/20 rule, if you've ever heard that. 80% of the time you should be giving value. You should be asking questions to your audience. You should be doing polls. You should be providing funny little videos if comedy is your thing. A picture of yourself, some kind of whatever. Um, but you should be just providing some type of entertainment if that's your gig, but some value. So if you're an accountant, you know, a tip on doing your taxes. If you're a lawyer, a tip on how not to get sued. I don't know. If you're a dancer, maybe you can show a little dance step, or what it's called, or what the names are called, or what when you the whatever you call it, the positions are called, right, in dance. So if you're a guitar player, you can show a guitar chord, and give some type of value. That's 80% of the time. That's a lot of time to be spending just providing value. So in other words, your mindset has to change on whether on your business. So if you're used to just selling mugs, if you're selling mugs all day long, 24/7, and you're a mug salesman, and you go on live and you think you're just going to talk and sell your mug. Hey, buy this mug. It's only, $10. It's got designs on it. It's got this in it. You can drink your coffee on it. It's a great mug. Buy it. And next video, hey, I got these mugs, more mugs. Look at all these mugs. I got mugs. Buy my mugs. You're going to be shut down. People are just going to look at it and be, oh, that's the guy who sells mugs. they may think of you at some point later on when you're like, hey, there's a guy that always selling mugs. Let me see if I find them, But what you want to do is you want to provide value to the audience, right? So maybe you can talk about different types of teas that you can drink with your mug. You could drink of different types of coffees. Maybe there's a website that you can contact and say, and talk to the website that they provide like teas and say, hey, I go live and I sell mugs. And I was wondering, can I use you guys as a reference and talk about the wonderful teas you have on my show? They're going to be like, hell yeah. You just created a partnership with a tea company and you can use their name and say so, and of course you're not making any money yet, right? You can later on get a sponsorship if you have your viewership and you have enough audience. You could say to the tea company, I get 10,000 downloads on this podcast. Would you guys like to be my official tea company? And they'll be like, hell yeah. All you have to do is you give me a $500 a month, and I'll make an announcement and I'll do a tea of the week, and I'll even buy some teas from you and I will personally deliver teas to audience members. And then once a week you go live or once every few days or whatever, and you say, hey, everybody, just want to tell you about this great tea that I have here that I'm drinking on one of my mugs. And I want to show you how how you can brew this tea, or I want to show you what this tea is really good for. I want to read a little bit about what the company has to say about this tea. So anyway, if anybody's interested in one of these teas, I have 10 little bags here that I'm willing to mail out and ship out to you guys. Send me an email, blah, 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 blah. Right. The way I do with my booklet, right? I have a little booklet that I mail out to people called The Way to Happiness, a common sense guide to better living. If anybody wants a copy, actually, now that I'm on live, a free copy, just email me at johnhenrysoto@protonmail.com and I will mail one out to you ASAP. Or if you want a digital copy, if you prefer that, I can email you a digital copy as well. So anyway, but yes, that's what you do. And that is the value that you provide. So I'm selling mugs now as an example, right? And I'm able now to connect with a tea company, right? And then I can go find a coffee company and be like, hey guys, I know you make coffee. I'm teamed up with this tea company here, and they're providing some samples, or they're providing their a partnership on my show. Are you guys interested in being my coffee guys? Hell yeah, you got 10,000 downloads and you got a tea company. We got to compete with the teas. Let's do it. Here's some coffee and let's do a promo and boom, 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 boom. And now you have your, so if you can see what I'm driving at, right? You can do other things. I'm sure, I don't know what else you can do other than coffee and tea, but there's some other stuff that you can do, right? Bosco. Maybe you can do chocolate, different hot chocolates or something, and you can call up Nestle and be like, "Hey Nestle, I got this show. I got a tea company and a coffee company. I don't have a chocolate company. You guys interested?" If you can find somebody that would do that, and then you provide value to the audience, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know about this tea company," and you can contact other tea companies, right? You're not committed to anyone unless you sign a contract exclusively for one tea. That's a different situation. But my point on this is that when you go live, or any piece of content, anything that you're doing, you're always trying to provide value first. You're not trying to sell something. As a matter of fact, people shouldn't even know what you're selling sometimes, right? They just want to know that if I go to this dude, he's going to say something, or to this young lady, she's going to say something that I know is going to be useful to me. I'm going to be able to, either I'm going to feel better by getting her message, or I'm going to have an actual value of a thing that I can purchase, an actual physical item that I can go buy. She's going to give me a code that's going to give me 10% off of an item. She always has codes. She's just very good at finding percentages of stuff. And I always listen to her in the mornings because of that. Um, and so that's part of the 80-20 rule that they have. The the last thing is always what I always say is to have fun, right? You have to have fun in while doing these these live streams, because they can be a little nerve-wracking, right? Because you're out there in front of a lot of people and you're trying to convey a message of positivity and hope, and you're trying also to get a product out there as well, even though you're doing it on the 80/20 rule. That 20%, you got to be like, hey, by the way, folks, I got these mugs. It's right now it's 5% off, 10% off for the next 3 days. So if you're interested, just log on to johnhenrysoto.com and get yourself a mug. Don't do that for real, because I mean, go visit my site, johnhenrysoto.com, but don't, I have no mugs there. I apologize. Maybe I should get some mugs. Hey, you know what? I will get some mugs. I'll put some 7 a.m. mugs. See? Thank you. So there's a wonderful book by Gary Vaynerchuk called Crushing It, right? He wrote a book in 2000 and I forgot. Can it be 2009? No, that may be too early. Maybe he did. I don't know. It was early on. He wrote a book called Crush, and then now he's already crushing it. He'll eventually write a book called Crushed It. um, but so Crushing It is a great book by Gary. You can get that anywhere on Amazon, whatever. And it has a lot of tips on this, everything that I'm talking about. As a matter of fact, I use a lot of the concepts and the context, um, the content that he actually has out there, um, because it's only because it's worked for me. Like I'll try something, and there are other people that I have read, and I have books, and I won't mention them, but I've read their books, and some good things and some stuff that I know is not going to work for me. Or it just, I didn't identify with the material, or maybe it wasn't communicated to me properly, even though they're very successful books. Russell Brunson, who's the founder of ClickFunnels, has 3 books that are really fantastic, which everybody should have. One of them being Expert Secrets, being the most popular for me. For me, I don't know if they're the most popular books, but I think they are because I see them more than anything else. But that book is wonderful because it gives you a perspective of how you can actually create a business or a life around something that you really love. And it talks about being an expert in something, like if you're an expert in mugs, for instance, you can definitely, how much liquid does a mug hold? How hot can the mug get? What shapes can you make the mugs? How can you print stuff on it that won't fade? You're an expert on mugs because you love mugs. You've been collecting mugs. So why not start a business on mugs and sell mugs and talk about mugs and do the 80/20 that I was just talking about? So all those 2 books are really great. Crushing It, and Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson. Crushing is by Gary Vaynerchuk. He goes by Gary V also, so you want to check him out. Yeah, so that's it, my friends. Thank you very much. I apologize, I was a few minutes late. I am back. Everything is technically okay for now, and I'll be back tomorrow morning with all of you. I appreciate all of you. Take care of yourselves. Make today great. Do the things that you love and take care of yourselves. And I'll see you all tomorrow morning. And as always, peace.